Thank you, Juan. My name is Christian Worth. I am the village manager for the Village of Milford, and thank you. I was supposed to be joined on stage today, and a bulk of the presentation was going to be our DDA director, Ann Barnett. This was a project of hers that was a passion project, and it's something that she put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into seeing through to the finish. Unfortunately, Ann is not able to be with us today, so I have to pinch hit as best I can. I promise you my enthusiasm is not as good as her. She sells this very well. So Central Park it sits in the middle of the village. It sits in the middle of our downtown. It sits on the banks of the Huron River, and it also has a creek that runs through it, Pettibone Creek. And so it gives us a lot of opportunities with water, with green space, but it's a space that really was never developed comprehensively. It was always sort of piecemeal. A group would come in and they would want to do a play structure. A group came in and did tennis courts. A group came in and did basketball courts, a volleyball court, changing the volleyball court into an ice rink in the winter. These were all done in isolation, and there was never a comprehensive look at this. And despite being in our downtown, it wasn't very walkable. There wasn't a lot of accessibility into the park. The drainage was poor. There was a lot of standing water throughout much of the year, and most of the park was unusable, even though there was all this green space. And so this project really aimed to elevate all of that, in some ways literally with the stormwater drainage, but to really kind of elevate the park and integrate it into downtown better, create better view sheds, and create space that could be enjoyed by a broader spectrum of our community. So again, this is showing kind of separation between our south side and the core downtown area, kind of the feel for the downtown in Milford. You're all welcome for a tour, by the way, just give us a call. So again, looking at this space, the whole front yard was really it was asphalt, it was gravel. We had that giant volleyball court that sort of gradually got bigger and bigger and didn't drain. So we had kind of this mud pit as our front lawn. And so that was one of the objectives, along with kind of opening up things to the river. A lot of us that have waterfront or riverfront, we haven't always treated it the best. And I think as we've seen with past recipients of this award, a lot of places have engaged that much better than in the past. And so we were looking to do the same. So this is the picture at the bottom is sort of the front. You can kind of see that was the view from Main Street, from pretty close to a pedestrian view and as well as a vehicle view. You can actually, in the bigger picture, you can see the water just standing in the volleyball court. In the winter, we flooded it, and it was an ice rink, and it was nice. We had erosion issues on the riverbank just from use and just kind of mowing right up to the edge and all that sort of stuff. So on the one side, you see kind of what the park looked like before. The entranceway, really not pedestrian friendly. You've got just sort of a gradual drop and that got sharper as you went around. Now we've got sidewalks, walkways through there. It's much more accessible. So if you're in a stroller, if you've got a wheelchair, if you've got mobility issues, you can enter into the park and you can engage with the waterfront in a way you didn't used to be able to do. So again, there's that front lawn view. This is what we transformed it into with this project. This actually came up about 2.5 feet higher in elevation to help with the drainage. So much bigger. Before, you used to just kind of step off and you could actually kind of stumble into the park if you hit it wrong. So much clearer delineation with that, much more formal with the gardens. Again, just what it used to look like. This is another view from Main Street and today. So again, just opening up that great lawn area, you can see where the elevation changed. You can see some things kind of in the horizon catching your eye. We'll talk about those a little bit in a minute. So one of this was, again, just trying to, add its beautification, but it's doing it with a purpose as well. So this is an overview of the park before. This is the rendering. The rendering, one of the cool things on this project is this rendering, if you lay over the satellite image now, it's almost pretty much exactly as this is. A couple things are changed and moved around for space, but that's about it. So these are just kind of highlighting the areas we were hoping to address with the project. So stop by our booth. We'll gladly walk you through these and kind of talk through what each of those was. So again, I mentioned, accessibility from a pedestrian standpoint. So a boardwalk, a pedestrian walkway, paved pathway through, and then one of the highlights of the park is our platform that overlooks the Huron River. It's got native plantings on one side, sort of the park on the other side, and we've got these swings in this pergola. There is almost always somebody in the swings, and at busy times, there's actually a line that waits, so it's like a ride at an amusement park. People waiting. Whenever I'm walking by with my kids, they're always like, there's somebody in the swings. We got to wait a minute. So So again, we installed the swings. They're very popular. We've got a fire pit next to that. The view and the larger picture here is actually from where we have the ice rink now in an open lawn area. Again, just kind of a focal point, draws people's attention. You can see the fire pit that's in there. That's just open and available for use. Bring your own firewood. We've got the pathway around. Everything is accessible again now. Even the grass areas are much more accessible. I was over there on the weekend, and there was a group that had a couple wheelchairs, and they were able to get right up and into the picnic tables in the park right on the grass, because it's so flat now. One of the other focal points is our community pavilion. It's inspired by an Albert Kahn designed powerhouse that was installed by Henry Ford to power an old factory that's been demolished for years now. But we picked up on the architecture for this, and an architect we've worked with in the past, the designer we've worked in the past, Dave Peterhans, helped with this, along with Grissom Metz. And so we picked up some of the details. I'm just getting a couple different views of this as you kind of go through some of the architecture with this. It's a beautiful building. There's wind chimes up top, so when there's a light breeze, you get the sound of that. I mentioned stormwater, so one of the ways we're dealing with this is we have a riparian buffer between the boardwalk and the river. This will evolve over the next 3 to 5 years, working on this with our landscape consultants to kind of manage this as it grows. That's kind of contrasted by a much more formal gardens within the park. So as you enter in the park, it's much more formal plantings, done with a lot more purpose to it. This is the overview. Again, that looks almost identical to that rendering you saw earlier. And then the water is able to flow underneath the boardwalk towards the river. We had to relocate some of our sports facilities that included 2 basketball courts and a volleyball court, as well as kayak and canoe launch, and our ice rink. And so one of the cool things about this is everybody worked on this project. Our DPW guys had the idea for the lights, so they wanted to, this was their project on this, or part of their project on this. So just different views of this. This was the culmination of 20 years of planning, a lot of different plans. You received unanimous approval from the DDA Board, Parks and Recreation Commission, Village Council, and about just under $4 million project. $2.5 million was funded through the DDA. They had some bonds they'd issued for a project that didn't end up taking place. And so they pivoted and looked at this as a way to engage, kind of open up this space, and then integrate it into what is now our social district. Went to Milford Township, our surrounding township, and asked for some support. They came in with $1.5 million of support. So this was a community project, a lot of help from a lot of different people to make this a reality. Again, a passion project for our DDA director in getting this done. So stop by our booth. We've got mums, we've got lots of stickers and other things. So stop by. We'd love to talk to you about our project, and honored to be part of this, and looking forward to hearing from the other 3 finalists. Thank you.